All right, you guys. So we're back on my ski boots. Still trying to make this bad boy. I programmed the rest of this up this morning, you guys. I didn't record, my GoPro is still charging, so. But what I got here is I got a little bit of an angle. I am not sure how to make this thing like essentially killer this angle into this in one setup. So I just haven't had time to figure it out, you guys. I'm in a hurry trying to get this done so I can go skiing tomorrow, because I got to work on that thing. I have to have that done this weekend. I don't have to, but the guy kind of needs it back. He's got some paint stuff to do. So literally what I did, I took my sliding T-bevel, I set that on the bottom of my boot, and I got this angle right there, because there's just a slight angle. It's not much, man. So then I cut a couple of pieces of, this is like 3/4 MDF. I set this on here and I set that angle. I finished nailed it in there, here, and there. Now that'll allow me to have something to set this against. I'm contemplating putting a stop here and here so I can butt this in the corner. Call that, I'll probably do this corner. And then I can run a clamp across the back side of this to hold this down. We'll see. I'm gonna have to probably raise my retract height quite a bit because I'm on this slope. I've never really done this before, so we'll see how it goes. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this scrap piece that I have here and cut out essentially that section of it. I mean, it'll be the whole thing, but there'll be a big block here. Then I can set that block on here and kind of start figuring out what I want to do to get this cut right here. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm moving my machine around a little bit here. So now you guys can kind of see that's the rest of my simulation there. So I got the other two counterbores. You can kind of see that's cut off right here too. That's because of the size of this. The way the end mill comes around, it just nicks that corner just a little bit, which isn't a big deal because it's only holding it in this direction. These back counterbores will hold it in the other direction here, and here. This one will just hold it that way. So like mainly in a lot of like fixturing stuff, when you're doing tooling work, you have a solid bushing side and a slotted side. It's essentially kind of what I got, but opposite, because these are bosses. So I got a full solid and then I essentially a slotted. So it'll allow this piece to slide this way, but it'll still locate it that way. Yeah, so on my simulation, you can see I actually programmed this lower section here, saved that as one file, then I programmed this section and saved it as another file. We'll see how that goes when I start getting up on this other thing, this other little jig that I'm building right here. I don't know how this is gonna work. We're gonna give it a shot and see what happens, you guys. I'm no expert at this router yet. I'm still learning a lot of stuff, but I'm getting closer. Someday I will figure out how to actually cut an angle, color an angle in, but for right now this is gonna have to work. I'll end up probably having to set my Z maybe off the top to cut this one. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't got there yet, but I'm gonna try to get this section cut out of that piece right now so I can kind of start messing with it over here so I have an actual replica of it. So I'm gonna get that nailed down. I just use a finish nail, you guys. I nail right into here, it just pops right back up. Not a big deal. That's why I built the waste board, so that you could nail into it. It's just quicker than trying to put clamps and stuff and the nails pull out real easy. So yeah, kind of where we're at. That's what I'm doing. I'll show you when I get this going and kind of get this first little section of this cut out, and then when we transfer it over to here. Okay guys, I got this thing cutting, the first stage of it. I'm just going to show you what it's got going on here. Alright you guys, I'll show you when that gets done cutting. It's going to take a little while. It's got a lot of steps to go down. Okay you guys, we got our first, this is essentially our first stage. We got it cut out. I did have to make an adjustment to right here. This wasn't quite steep enough. Now it's better. The good thing is my counter boards are lining up really awesome. So that's sitting really flat against this boot there. Now you can see I got just that front angle that I'm trying to deal with. So we'll be setting this up on the other jig. I'm going to be setting this up here to cut this last section and drill my 2 holes. So we're getting there. Okay you guys, so I made a little ways here. So you guys saw I got this cut. So I took my jig and I had some of this this is what I make my Montana cutting boards out of. It's like a HDP food okay plastic for cutting boards. I had a couple extra pieces, so I just cut them down the sides, put them on there. So now I have something that kind of locates that 2 sides. I think what I'm going to do is put 1 clamp right across here. So I'm going to drill in. I'm going to have to put a hole in there somehow, so I can put a clamp across there, like so. And that'll hold that in place, and it should come over, spot face, drill my 2 holes, then it should cut all this down. Should be done. We'll see if these holes and these holes line up now that I'm on an angle. I'm going to set my Z off this high spot. I'm going to set my XY right off the very bottom corner in there. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to put a hole in there. So this is how I'm setting my XY. So I got my 1/4 inch end mill in there. It's my 201 end mill from Shapealco. And I'm just literally running, this is a thou feeler gauge, until that thing just barely drags. Then I'll subtract out half the diameter of this end mill. That'll put essentially my X right on the side of this. And then the Y, I'm going to probably stick a block down in here, so I can touch off this side of the block, move over the half of the end mill and the block to set my Y down in this very, very far corner, because I want to be down in there, right in that corner. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. I got my Y set here. Not my Y, my X, sorry. Let's see where we're at here. 0, X. Then we're gonna move over, that's 1/4 inch, so we're gonna move our 1/8 of an inch. Now you can see I moved over 1/8 of an inch, so my end mill is dead center there, so I'm going to 0 that right there. Now we got to do our Y this way. And I need some kind of block to sit down in there. So there's my 1, 2, 3 block. I'm going to come touch off the front lower corner of this, because that'll essentially be the backside corner of this. So since this is at an angle, you guys, I'm trying to get down in this lower corner so that when my profile comes around, the edge of my end mill is right at that, so it cuts the transition on this angle just right. So if I touch on the corner of this block, it should be exactly 2 inches, because this is a 246 block, it's precision ground. So I'll just subtract 2 inches and half my end mill. That'll put my Y right in the corner, the lower corner there. So this should work out. We're gonna find out here. Whoa, sorry, knocked you over. Still don't have a stand. Eventually I'm gonna have a stand and a new camera, hopefully. 4. Try to get my flute on the high side towards my block. You guys, I think I showed you this before. I got this off of Amazon. It's a controller for this thing. It's Bluetooth. It freaking works awesome. This thing was super cheap too, and it works great for this because there's really no like hand controller for this thing. All right, so let's go 2. I'm just literally moving a click at a time, so right there it's just barely dragging on my aim mill, you guys. So now I'll go over here, go to my set point, set 0. I'm gonna go Y. I'm gonna hit done. So now I know I gotta go 2 inches for the width of my block and half my end mill. So I need to go at least, I'm gonna raise this up so I don't hit anything. So I need to go 2 inch, 125. As you can see, my Y is zeroed right there. So we're just gonna go 4. We need to go 2 inch. Make sure I'm not gonna hit anything here. Yeah, we're good. So we're gonna go 2 inch, 125. Yep. So now you can see we're at 2 inch, 125. That should be right. It's centered right over the edge of this, right in that corner. My X is set here, my Y is set there, my Z is set off the top of here. So hopefully this program runs right now. We're gonna find out here right now. Get my block out of there. Finally got it warm in my shop. I've been out here. Came out at 7 o'clock this morning. It's 12:30. I've went in a few times, had to deal with other stuff, but it's finally warm in my shop. I'm actually in short sleeve and it's snowing outside, so my tin is finally holding some heat in. Okay, so X, Y, and Z are all set. I'm gonna click on run, load new file, Chad CNC, 2 new ski boot plate. Open. Make sure everything's out of the way, then we're not gonna run into anything. Oh, you guys, I just double back taped that down. I was gonna make a clamp and all that. I just ended up using this. This is like carpet tape. It's double backed, you peel it off. It holds stuff down real easy when you're doing this kind of stuff. I'm not doing any major cuts, so it should be pretty easy. All right, load 1/4 inch end mill. Yep. Gonna go over, set my tool length, or verify it. Okay, now we're gonna start running here. Get our dust cover on. Tells me to kick on at 16,000 RPM. I got a little chart here, so 3 is about 18, so that's what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna turn my override down. Actually, we'll do that here in a minute. So as this goes in, you guys, I got about 200 thou above this material that every time it cuts, it'll retract up. So as it comes over here and it starts going down, if it doesn't slow down 200 above it, I know my program's wrong and it'll crash into that, or it'll stop and then slowly feed, and it should start circling is what it should do, because I believe the first cut is I cut a counterbore, so essentially I'm cutting the tops of the other ones of these right here. So it should cut that, and then it'll come in, it'll drill, then it'll pocket this, and we should be done. All right, we're gonna give this a go here. And this is my off button. It's the only way to stop this thing, so. Nope. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna hit jog. It's gonna ask me to measure this thing. It just did, but yeah, whatever. It's kind of a safety. What it does, it rechecks it every time like you go into jog mode. I think there's a way to eliminate it. I just don't, because I don't want to mess this machine up. So I just kind of let it do it every time. But here's what I want to show you. So rapid position, we're going to go rapid to current XY. So this should have been where my XY should have been set. So does anyone see what I forgot to do? So I moved over this distance, you guys. I never re-zeroed it. So that's the edge of my 1, 2, 3 block right there. So I should have moved over my 2-inch, 2 1/8, which I did, but I never re-zeroed my Y. That's why it's off. So yeah, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I make mistakes. So we're gonna do that now. Let's see. We're gonna go on our little remote here. We're gonna go 4. 4. Move to 125. Oops. All right, so I moved it 2-inch 125, you guys. That should be half my end mill and my width of my 246 block. Then we're gonna go set 0. We're gonna 0 Y. So now they're both in the correct spot, X and Y. You can see our X is halfway there and our Y is halfway here. Right down there in the corner. So we're lined up now. Now instead of cutting right here at the end of the block, it should be cutting over here. We'll see if this works out. I might have to cut a couple of these, you guys. I'm not sure with it being on the angle what it's gonna do, so. All right, so zeroed, we're gonna hit run. Load new file, we're gonna go Chad CNC files. Oops. New ski boot 2 plate. Start job, start. Wrap it over. Gonna tell me to load my 1/4 inch end mill. We're gonna hit resume. Gonna go check my length again. All right. There she is. All right, you guys. I've cut multiple of these. I had to cut some relief in here for the toe of the ski boot. It was kind of hitting. You can see I've moved the holes a couple times here. Cut another test one here. Wasn't quite right. I shifted these holes one more time because I'm coming in at an angle, so it's kind of messing it up. This was the second to last one I did. These holes still needed to go that way about 100 thou. I finally got them right on the last one, so we're cutting it out of our nylon right now. It's getting there. I'm actually cutting two of the toe pieces at once. I got one here, one here. Then we'll take it, put it on our single jig, and we'll cut one up to do the back side, or not the back side, this angle piece right here. This front, I'm gonna have to grind this back just a little bit of a radius, just to clear my binding. But other than that, it seems to be working, so we'll see when this is done running, what this looks like. I got a burr. This nylon's a little softer than I thought it was gonna be. You guys can see, it should have taken that away and it didn't, because it's actually getting hot and it's folding over that way. I cranked my feed rate up to get a little more chip engagement and it kind of stopped doing that. At first when it was drilling, I had it drilling way too fast and it was loading up the cutter like really bad. So I turned the feed rate down to about, I think I was down to about 40 on my feed rate because it was going way too fast. But then it got to facing the top of those bosses and it did this. So I cranked it back up when it's doing the inside pocketing and it seems to be throwing a good chip now. All right, we'll let that thing run for a little while. Spider web. We'll let it run. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I get through the stage 1 and I go on to my stage 2 fixture. All right, you guys. That thing made a mess. Hopefully you can see, there's my 2 plates. Left foot, right foot. I'm gonna get these knocked out of here. I got some deburring to do. I had some feeding speeds kind of messed up at the beginning and it left this big wicked burr, so I'm gonna have to get that deburred. But man, pretty neat looking, dude. This is an awesome thing about CNC, you guys. Like it makes it spot on. Once you get the programming part of it done right, it's, man, it's perfect. And they're identical. I mean, you can't get them any closer than that. We're gonna get those out of there. I got some tabs to deburr and stuff, and then we're gonna get it onto our stage 2. We'll get the front of those cut. I'm not gonna tell you guys this is perfect. I have a little bit of gap here in the front just because of what's going on with my boot. This is probably a better job for 3D printing, but this section right here in my boot is high and this is low. All this tapers out this way, you guys. And trying to get that contour, I'm not quite sure how to make my router do it. I'm sure it'll do it. I'm just kind of in a rush because we're going skiing tomorrow and I want to use my new boots, so I got to do that, and I'm still working on that thing. I've been down as I'm cutting once my router gets running, I go down there and I like start cutting plates. I got I got all 4 plates cut, drilled, bent. Now I'm gonna start having to work on the hoop, so I'm kind of doing double duty here, you guys. This is why I bought this router. It can be cutting while I'm working down there. So we're gonna pull these out. I'm gonna get them cleaned up. I'll show you what they look like before I put them over here. guys can also see there's my finished nails. I just stick those in there. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. Oh yeah, they're gonna come right out of this stuff. It's just quick, easy, dirty way to do this, you guys. Like, I'm not saying this is a perfect professional way to do it, but it works for me. It's really quick and fast, so that's what I need. Now you can see I got a little bit of cleanup to do here. I got a little bit of flashing, left just a little bit of a burr. That peeled right off, so. But I got these little tabs. Look what that burr did. It actually scratched. It almost looks like I tried to lay out like 2 holes right there, but the burr on that freaking scratched that perfectly. Well, funny. All right, I'm gonna go down on my other sander and knock these edges off so we can set this up on our next stage. All right, guys, we're on stage 2 here. I'll show you what's going on. Alright guys, I'll show you when it's done cutting on this stage 2. Alright you guys, we got these plates pretty close. So that's essentially what they're going to look like, you guys. I still got those square corners. I'm going to go round those off. I just bolted it up so I could mark them on the front. I'm going to go grind them off here. We're going to put a little bit of taper in the front of these. Let's see if I can find the other one I did. So I got to put a little bit of taper on the front of this just so it kind of doesn't contact the binding. It's just got to have that little bit of taper so it works all right. But I did put this in here. I ran my razor knife around the front of this to mark that. I'm gonna go grind those off. I will tell you, I screwed up. I've had some issues, you guys. So you can see I have a whole other set of these. So I cut 2 sets of them. I was trying to use this drill bit. I was running it backwards because I don't have a counter bore. So I was trying to run it backwards, just kind of melt essentially the nylon to have a spot to put my bolts into. It wasn't working real good, so I tried to go forward real slow. It grabbed and just sucked through, so I blew open that hole right there and that hole right there. So I scrapped the first set. So the second set I got smarter. I went and looked for a counter bore. I don't have a counter bore with pilot or anything, but I did find this, you guys. I had this reamer. This is a reamer that I got from the job I used to work on. It works very well. Because it's just designed to cut very lightly, it does these counter bores very well. So actually that's what I counterbored these ones with, was that reamer. Just use it like a counter bore. It worked great. So I'm gonna go get this one. I'm gonna unbolt this one. I'm gonna bolt that one on, get it counterbored. That one right there, I'm gonna get it counterbored. So that I can mark the front of this and get it cut off. You guys can see I did a pretty good job hitting my taper. This little slope up. I gotta grind this back just a little bit on the corner just to clear my binding, and I'm gonna round these edges over. We gotta still do our counterbores on this one, but you guys can see what I had to do to try to get this to clear this boot as best as possible. I'm not going to say this is perfect, you guys. This actually kind of needed to flow. It actually needed to be more like a bowl from here up to match the front of this boot. You can see there's just a teeny gap there. It's like 30 thou right here in the front. But it is about 50 thou in, it's contact in the boot. It's just kind of the way the bottom of that boot is designed. I just can't really, without a bunch of ball mills and knowing how to make my router actually carve shapes. It is what it is. This is quick and dirty. I just need it. It's not quick. I want to say it's quick and dirty, but it took me a freaking all day pretty much to get this figured out with the angle and everything. But now that I kind of got it figured out, I could probably bust some of these out like super quick. But I did have to recess that right there because it was hitting the boot. The boot's actually contoured this way. So I recessed that because it's actually contacting the boot. Yeah, like I said, it's not 100% perfect, you guys, but it's definitely going to serve its purpose. Hopefully next year Solomon will come out with these plates and I'll buy a set. Or maybe by then I'll have actual true AT bindings. Oh! I'm going to run down here and show you guys my bindings, why I'm doing this. I want AT bindings, and I have AT bindings. It's just a different setup than what most people are probably used to. So these are my skis. They're Armada JJs. They're like 185s. I got rosinal pivot look bindings. Then I got these. These are my MFD plates. They're a binding plate. So essentially this is a problem with that is called the bottom on boot has a grip walk sole on it. It doesn't work with these flat ones. Most of the new bindings, there's like a angle on them right here. Mine are flat, so it doesn't work. I don't want to buy new bindings. Like, these aren't that old. My skis aren't that old. These plates aren't that old. I pretty much bought all these at pretty much the same time. The problem is they don't work with those grip walks. So that's why I had to redo this front plate, because it's flat. You guys can see that's flat. The new ones have an angle on them like that, and they're actually about that much further forward to allow these to eject. So with the grip walk, it won't work in these bindings. But literally, this is why I don't want to get rid of these. So this is my AT setup, you guys. It's a full Alpine binding on an MFD plate. So that's essentially gives you a 0 walk height, and then you got like, I think this is like 5 degrees and this is like 15 degrees. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. I want the AT boot because they're lighter. This is a pretty heavy setup. The one thing I do love about it, you guys, when I'm skiing, I can unclip these when I'm with the kids, and I can give them a push because they're still kind of learning how to ski. I can push them or pull them, and it'll slow me down. I can unclip these, and then I can hike on the flats. So my kids don't have to essentially like pull so much and have to get burnt out so quick, because I want to keep skiing, you know. Most of the AT bindings don't release this easy. These things are like super fast. You just pop them loose and they're good to go. Like, I do this in the lift lines, you guys. I get down to the bottom, I pop these loose so I can walk. Just right through the lift lines. Most AT bindings, you got to unclip, totally get out of the ski, and then reclip in. Especially when you're talking like the pin style here and here. You got to totally unclip. I found one set that I think is close to this, but you still have to release this, pull a pin up to get it to slide back. Like these, like I'm in and out of these like super quick. So that's why I run this setup, you guys. And I bought these MFD. I don't think they make these plates anymore, but now you know why, because I already have an AT setup. So I got to make my AT boots match my setup. It's got to fit into an Alpine binding. That is my whole reason for doing this. Someday down the road, once my kids get better at skiing, I'm going to ditch those because they're heavy. And I'm going to go to a true pin setup for AT setup for skiing, backcountry stuff. But for now, this is going to fix my problem. So I still got my AT pin there, but I'll have my Alpine plate on the bottom. I'll still have my grip sole so I can still hike. This will just work in the front of the binding release so I don't break my leg. And literally I would have bought these, you guys, but Solomon doesn't make one for this yet, so that's why I did it. It's a one-off, first of its kind. Apparently Solomon's coming out with this next year for this boot. They just don't have it right now. When I bought these, the guys thought they had it, but they didn't. Now I do. I'm one of one right now. That's pretty neat. That's the good thing about having tools, you guys. You can build what you need. So we're gonna go get those corners cut off right there. I'm just gonna grind them back. I'm gonna bevel this back a little bit here, just to clear my binding. Then we'll get that one counterboard and get it on the other boot, and we'll be good to go skiing tomorrow. And I get back on my project I'm supposed to be working on that I'm gonna get paid for. So yeah, jeez. Not gonna lie, that was a rough day. That took me a while. I haven't done a lot of that in my router, you guys. That was a lot of testing. I built 4 sets of wood ones before I made a set of plastic ones that I scrapped and then made these ones. We finally got these done. I wanted to show you the final product. So that's a grip lock, so I had to switch to Alpine setup. That's what I got made. I popped them in my bindings. They eject just fine, so I think we're gonna call it good for now. There's the other one. You can see where my binding is now sliding on this, ejecting my ski boot. So I think we should be all right. Shouldn't break a leg now. So we're gonna go ahead and try these out this weekend. We're gonna try them tomorrow, actually. We're gonna go up to Great Divide and do some skiing. Hopefully it's pretty decent. They got some snow the other day, so hopefully it's still up there when we get up there.